Luka Nation. I think you're in for a treat today because when I saw, so we're doing the PWCC weekly auction, the content show where we talk about some of the cards that are ending tomorrow night.
And we can talk about all kinds of good stuff. We can talk about the Burbank show. We just do a segment for PWCC. It doesn't have to just be a whole episode, just a segment. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Here you go.
So I was looking through the cards. I always do like filter on the auction ending tomorrow night, and then I do highest to lowest. And you see LeBron's, whether that's a refractor or an auto. You see a Fleer Jordan in just about every one. You see some high end, Luka autos or Mahomes cards. But in this week's auction, what's so interesting is the highest card is a 1978 Topps PSA 10. And when I saw that, I was like, there's got to be some story to this. And the blessing, the privilege I've had of doing this with you for 2 years is when it comes to stuff like this, I don't need a Google. I have a co-host who's collected for years and years and years who knows this stuff.
I am sort of a Google myself. I like it.
You are Google. So one of the cards is a 1978 Topps rookie shortstops. It's Paul Molitor, Alan Trammell, rookie. Okay. So you guys are out there thinking, okay, who are those guys? Or I've heard of them. That's probably maybe $1,000 card in a PSA 10. Right now, that card is sitting at $20,500. Now, there's also an Eddie Murray PSA 10 rookie sitting at $27,000. Cage.
Yeah,
well, I'm going to share my
share
screen.
the screen. That would be awesome.
I'm going to pull this up for you guys. What the hell is going on?
So what I'd love for you to pull up also on this, and so obviously there's a whole bunch of 78 fun stuff in there because also you can see the George Brett over there in PSA 10. You see the Rack Pack boxes and the whole deal. 78's a great set. This is because of condition sensitivity. I'm pretty sure there's less than 20 of those Eddie Murrays. And do you know anything about Eddie Murray?
Eddie Murphy.
No.
Yes.
So that's
Hilarious.
You've seen 48 Hours.
Very funny.
Very funny guy, right?
Very funny guy. A lot of jokes.
I mean,
Pop 18, actually, so you're right.
There you go.
Less than 20 PS. But who is this guy? Is this isn't the first, top set. What's the provenance behind this? $27,000 for this card. How does someone justify that?
Well, I mean, a bunch of reasons. Number one, it's not just because Eddie Murray is great, and we can talk about Eddie Murray. I actually was a fan of his. He played for the Mets for a little while, but I was a fan of his earlier on in his career. Most known for his time with the Orioles, which is where he started. We can go through his stuff in a second, but this is really one of those registry things. This is really one of these set building, the 200, I think it ended at like 221,000 views. I don't think it's getting up there anymore. My viral guys in binders putting together sets and building sets and trying to improve upon their sets the way collectors do. Obviously,
guys and binders. I'd like that for a new segment.
There you go. There's only 18 people who can have that 1978 set in PSA 10 because of this. There might even be other cards in there that have less pop than this one does. It's a real condition.
Bobby Bonds is a Pop 6 PSA 10.
So there you go. So Bobby Bonds.
So why I started off with this Luka Nation is if you look at this week's weekly auction and you just search 1978 Topps, it looks like, and I don't know this for a fact, but it looks like someone took their PSA 10 set and they broke it up. And they're individually selling them in this week's weekly auction.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, if you watch baseball in the 80s, you knew who Eddie Murray was. He was, at the time, I don't think there were as many, but I think there's still only 7 people to finish their career with over 3,000 hits and 500 home runs, which were both individually like, he was never steroids. He was never part of that whole, he was basically done when that happened. He started in 78 he played into the 90s, but by the time that steroid stuff happened, he was the end of his career. But I think when he did it, it was only like maybe Mays and maybe Hank Aaron were the only two. Like if he was the third who joined the club at the time, people have done it since. But it was if you either hit 500 home runs or 3,000 hits, you were in the Hall of Fame. And he was like the third player to do them both. And if he played in the 80s, I'm pretty sure, I'd have to look this up, but I'm pretty sure even though he was never the MVP, right, it was just steady where he was top 10 MVP almost every year in the 80s. And I think, we'd have to look this up, I think he had the most RBIs of any player for the decade. Like for the 1980s, I don't think anyone else had more RBIs than he had combined.
Okay, so on one hand, established player.
Definitely. The Hall of Famer, I think in the late 90s, they did one of those, like, basketball did the top 50 players, top 75 players. I'm pretty sure they did like a top 100 players in the late 90s, and he was in it. He was definitely in the top 100 players of that century.
Condition
Easily.
sensitive. Only rookie of his is that.
Oh, yeah, clear cut.
Clear
cut. Remember we talked about Henderson being the last Hall of Famer who has one rookie? This is same with Molitor and Trammell. They get the double on that is that there's two Hall of Famers on the same rookie card, which you usually don't see.
Anyway, what the beauty of this hobby is you're always learning. There's always something new. We've done this show for 4 or 5 months now. I have never searched and seen a 1978 Topps PSA 10 as the leading card, the highest card at $27,000. So incredible. Any cards, any thoughts, any cards, anyone, you make funny memes about people at Burbank.
Did you like that?
Shout out. I don't get the internet. No, so I did not. I'm not your biggest fan when it comes. I like guys and binders. Guys and binders, I thought was good.
It's a good title. You know me, my eyes always gravitate to the older stuff. And this is the third week in a row where we have those little cutout cards from the 1800s. But that wasn't what got me. Your favorite yoga instructor, who we've talked about on his tobacco card, we've seen much more often, Eddie Plank, the guy you love, right? So Eddie Plank, your yoga guy. There was a cool American Caramel card of his. I think it's a set B. And you just don't see the card too often, right? I mean, if you guys look up the auction by oldest, you could do the sort feature, and you just do oldest first. And you'll see those 88 scraps that I talked about last time around. And you also will pull up, you're going to pull up not Eddie Plank, Edward S. Plank, an American Caramel from Set B. Pretty cool. Edward. No. I mean, you could sort them by oldest and newest. And it's cool. Like it's one of those cards you just don't see too often. 1909, you see tobacco cards. This is a caramel card.
It kind of looks like Ryan from The Office.
If you say so. That's perfectly an acceptable comparison, I guess. Horrible back on this, but this is
here's the gum.
No, it came with caramel, not a gum, and it was probably something that somebody stuck to a binder.
They put caramel on the back of the cards.
So here's something that I need to know. Did Nat Turner get reincarnated? Was he formerly a baseball player in the 1900s? Okay, and if he was, or maybe this is just his great grandfather. Can you pull up a card for me? 1909. Just put in 1909 Turner. All right, 1909 Turner. And I mean, I may be stumbling upon something that the hobby already knows, and maybe I'm an idiot for not knowing this. But 1909, you got the Plank. 1909 Turner. So what you're going to see here is a sweet Capital T206 that I believe you say looks like Ryan from The Office. I think this is a spitting image of Nat Turner. I think there he is right there. I wonder if this is his great-grandfather on a tobacco card, and if that's where his love of baseball card collecting comes from. There he is, the 1909 Nat Terry Turner card. No?
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
Agree to disagree. This guy's bald. I'm pretty sure he has red hair, too.
And it's in an SGC slab, which
if
it was really Nat Turner, that wouldn't happen, right? It would have to be in a PSA slab if it was that.
He's previewing his next acquisition. He's sending us signals from the past or from the future.
Well, both. You never really know. No, I mean, listen, this auction is clearly about those 78s. I love the Paul Molitor, Alan Trammell card also that you...
do you actually? Like that's a card you would own?
Yeah, I would 100% own that because it checks a lot of baskets, right? It's a clear-cut rookie card. It's Hall of Famers. It's low pop. When anyone who collected, Molitor Trammell cards, if you were to say, okay, I'll close my eyes, what is the card to have of them? That is it. And normally what you're going to see on these is, when you have these multiplayer cards where, the rookies, there's 4 of them, you're going to have a scrub. You're going to have 2 scrubs, 3 scrubs with the one guy. Like, everybody knows Jerry Kuzman, not because he was a great player, but because he's the other dude on the card with Nolan Ryan. Hey, look at he's got it. He's got it down, right? And, even Cal Ripken's 82 has 2 other players on it. Pete Rose, floating heads of three guys I can't remember who they are, but Pete Rose. This one here, I mean, I know the names. Mickey Klutz is on this card. Mickey Klutz, yes, that's the name. But yeah, Molitor and Trammell, normally you don't get two of them on the same card, so I think it actually helps the value because you got two studs from the Tigers and the Brewers. You got two collecting fan bases that can both help prop this one up, sort of like the Bird Magic card. I think
history lesson. When did the gold rush for PSA 10s happen? Like what year? What point in time? So people were always collecting these cards, but in the 80s, these cards were just in binders. These were not graded. In the 90s, these cards were just just in binders. At what point did the registry start coming into place and people were chasing the PSA 10 specifically?
I honestly can't tell you. I can't tell you the answer to that. I would tell you the PSA 10 specifically has got to be in the last couple of years because people were grading with Beckett. They weren't grading with PSA as much. I know the registry is a huge thing. But what's funny is cards like these, I mean, you see the premium, you see the money on these, but it's almost a hybrid. It's almost probably like a newer collector like me, who in 1978, I mean, I was 1 year old. I wasn't collecting these cards. I wasn't buying the packs of these. I knew these cards. I have an Eddie Murray rookie. I graded my Eddie Murray that I had as a kid that I collected in the 80s when I collected, and I graded it with PSA myself, and I got a 7, which I was happy with because it was, it was in like a binder and just kind of thrown around in my basement and stuff like that. But I think the PSA 10 chase is for like younger folks. I don't think it's the people who are actually, most of the people who are buying Eddie Murray or cards in the 70s are like, I have my Eddie Murray. It's in a top loader or it's in my binder and it's excellent mint or it's near mint, or I know mine is gem mint and they're just not going to send it to PSA. It's weird. It's a new phenomenon, that chase. So
all right, let's keep rolling along, shall we, Cage?
Yeah.
Give me
so gorgeous
give me
card,
a card
right?
that caught your eye.
So two cards caught my eye in this one that are not cheap cards, but I love them both ending in this one. You guys know I have an affinity for the 53 Bowman color set. I love the Mickey Mantle that's in this, and it's in PSA 8. It's in an old slab. Check out the slab itself is almost enough vintage. The PSA flip on it is almost vintage enough for me to enjoy. But it's a cool color card. We've talked about the 53 Bowman a million times. I love the Pee Wee Reese in PSA 4. Love the action shot on that one, but this mantle is really, really cool.
It's a nice copy.
Yeah.
It's a really cool nicely centered copy too.
And there's two more in this mid-range here, between $5,000 and $10,000. There's a 49 Bowman Satchel Paige, which normally I'd go for the 48 Leaf because I like the colors, but the 49 Bowman is a nice alternative. And a PSA 6 in this auction, which if you found a 6 of the Leaf, it would sell for significantly more than what this is selling for. This 6 is selling for more than a PSA 1, for less than a PSA 1 would. But there's some really nice ones. You see them? Just a really nice card. And then one for you, because what's
cool about this, guys, just real quick on the page,
sure.
1949 page in a PSA 6. There's also on the tail end ending a week later, 4 PWCC A4 nicely centered page. So back to back.
There is a 61 Fleer Wilt Chamberlain rookie card.
I saw it.
I want you to talk about it because you have
very well 6.
versed with this. This 6 looks nicer than most 8s that I've seen. So pull that one up. Talk about that one because I know you really have started to follow this card.
I like this card a lot. I like this card a lot. I truly think Wilt was kind of a guy ahead of his time. So athletic, dominated the game. And he again only has one true rookie. I guess he has the in-action card as well. So maybe you could, I don't know if you'd say that's 2 true rookies or what you would say about that. But
that's like the debut for modern collectors. For modern collectors, that in-action is like, if you collect the Topps update sets, you want the Julio Rodriguez true rookie. You don't want the debut card, one that says Major League Debut on it. It's like a lesser card. If you're a National Treasures guy, you want that true RPA. You don't want that colossal patch out of 99 that Mahomes has in this one. That's only $5,000 instead of 50. For sure. It's the same kind of deal. I have I love this one. I have one that maybe it's just it depends on what you like. Corners on this are as sharp as can be. There's a 52 Topps Willie Mays that's a PSA 5 that I guess I think maybe somebody gets at a cheaper price because this one, if this didn't get a miscut, I don't know what does, but take a look at this one. This was just one of those weird ones where I looked at it, I'm like, wow, this doesn't have a qualifier on it. You would think submitting this that you would expect,
They didn't qualify back in the day, or they just chose not to qualify it.
We
had the Wilt that was old and it
which had better
as an OC.
centering, much better centering than this, and it had an OC 100%. And this one here is, the corners are gorgeous, but it's really off-centered. Like if this one's not an off-centered or miscut or something like that, then what is? So it's just an interesting one. It depends. Do you like centering or do you like nice corners? So
let's
eye appeal conversation. Shoot.
So Satchel Paige, Willie Mays. Let's talk a little bit about modern quarterbacks real quick.
Okay.
To me, for next season, who I think is a buy, I'll give you two guys. One is like a confidence level 5, and another guy's like a confidence level 3. 5 out of 5. The 3 is Lamar. I think even if Lamar's back, I think that maybe gives his card prices a bump. But I actually think he's going to get moved. Mm-hmm. So I would take a look at some Lamar cards. It's interesting in this auction, there are no rookie Lamar cards, no high-end rookie Lamar cards. But the guy that I would take a look at in this auction is Justin Herbert. Going into next season with a new coach, kind of a weird year for him all year, but he showed me a lot that probably didn't register in his card prices. Gritting through the ribs, getting them to the playoffs, playing hard all year, even amongst this adversity. And I think getting Kellen Moore is a good thing for him. There's a gold Kaboom. It's 2022. It's sitting at about $1,000. And this is a card that I think, I'll pull it up, $1,100. It's a non-rookie. But when it comes to Kaboom, because there aren't that many, there's the gold out of 10, there's the green, which everyone chases for, and obviously the rookie base. This one's sitting at $1,000, ending tomorrow night when Mahomes plays Hurts. No one's going to be looking for Herbert, and I think you might be able to get a steal with a card like this. Now, it's not his rookie, but we're talking about a gold out of 10 Kaboom for $1,000, already graded 9.5. So I think this guy could have a huge year next year. I think Mahomes and the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, and I think next year's games when they match up are going to be super interesting, kind of like the Josh Allen game with Mahomes this year. I would take a look at Mr. Justin Herbert.
Is there a strategy here because of when this auction ends? There are both Jalen Hurts cards and Patrick Mahomes cards in this. Neither of them, as we record here about a day away, are where they should be or would be, maybe because of, there's still a day to go. They're not where they're going to be when they end, but maybe because people realize that tomorrow is a big day for both of them. Is there a strategy here that if you're a believer in both of them long term, that maybe you're watching and buy the loser of the game?
One of the cards I pulled up was Jalen Hurts Kaboom rookie PSA 10. The reason I pulled it up was it's sitting at 600. I believe it's $600, $650. And I saw someone today try to sell a BGS 10 for $10K. So that caught my eye. Obviously, them listing it on their story doesn't mean it's going to get bought. I'd be weary of Hurts, and I think it's always a good time to buy Mahomes. If he loses, I do think it's a little bit worrisome that he's 1-2 in the Super Bowl in his career, and it's always like maybe he's more Dan Marino, Aaron Rodgers than he is Tom Brady, so it's worrisome. But I would stay far away from Hurts, and I would only buy Mahomes if you're thinking long-term. Win or lose, Hurts cards are going to – and if you're a collector and you want to buy Hurts for sure, I think what's going to happen is there's just going to be so much inventory that hits the market, win or lose for Hurts.
Well, listen, let's pull up a Hurts, right? There's one that, I would have expected to be a little more money, but put in National Treasures, Jalen Hurts. If you want to type out rookie patch auto or just put the number 99 in, that's fine too. But there's one which I think has a really nice patch. This is, unless you tell me I'm wrong, the true RPA out of 99. It's the card you'd want. It's a BGS 9, right? So it's not a PSA 10. I get that. You name it. But yeah, look at that. So that's a nice patch. And look how many there are, right?
Look at how much supply is hitting the market.
There you go. So this is important for everyone to take a look at. Of those 4 RPAs, out of the true 99, how many of them are ending this week?
Every single one.
All 4. So guys, take a look at that. All right. This is a card that's supposed to be rare. And it is. It's out of 99. It is the true RPA.
Yeah, but they fucked it up, Gage. Panini did. Like, this one's a white box 1 of 1. Who even knows how many they've held back?
So take the white box 1 of 1 out, and what are the other 2?
NT out of 99, NT out of 99, NT
So
out of 99.
So that means 3 of the 99 rare cards are available in the same one weekly auction at PWCC's weekly auction. Think about that for a second. Is that card really rare? Sure. Is it scarce? Negative. But is now a time, if you're a believer in Hurts long term, to get one of these? Possibly. But I say to you, what Andrew's saying is correct. And it's why I made the take that I made during the year, and why I talk about it again, and why when people were in my DM saying, look, Hurts is going to the Super Bowl, his cards are going to go up. No. Because look what happens. Everybody thinks the same thing. Everybody thinks, oh, he's going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm going to sell my card now at a profit. And then you're selling against everyone else. Nobody's buying these. And the ones that are, you have more competition for your cards. It's sort of what Andrew talked about with, selling into strength, selling at the right time, buying at the right time. So I that's a cool looking card, but I pull that up because when you pull up by how we look at it, you can see all of them that are there. And there you got
it's really hard if we look at 2018 on to sell into strength with those cards because you had Jalen Hurts who had an amazing year. Mm-hmm. You can't even sell into strength before the Super Bowl. You have 4 other people doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's
a rare card.
It's an allegedly rare card. You know what I mean? So it's interesting stuff, I got to tell you. It's funny, if you sort, once you get to that $1,500 level, there certainly are a lot of coins. You have your eye on any coins?
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah,
I saw that. A whole page of coins.
Yeah, you have your eye on any coins from the 1800s?
Nah.
No? Nah. Okay. We'll leave the coins to somebody else. You want to talk about Pokemon cards?
Yeah.
No? There's a cool Daredevil number 1, by the way. I mean, that's a cool...
I do want to talk about Derek Jeter's SP. There's 4 BGS 9s ending on top of each other, all with different subgrades in the $400-$500 range. Really interesting card. Obviously, somebody's tried to bump it. No doubt about it. But 4 ending on top of each other. We all know the PSA 10 of this Jeter's, $200,000-$300,000 card. You have 4 of them in this auction. That is a scarce card because there's not a few of them out there, but that's the card of Jeter. And you might be able to get a buy. So take a look. There's different subgrades. One is, 0.5 away. One is a full point away, but 4 BGS 9s ending.
So I want you to pull up a really nice looking card for me. All right. Sure. But not just because I think it's a fun card and somebody might be a fan, but it's, guys, Luka may turn into the next LeBron. He may turn into next James Harden, but he may. Everybody's buying Luka cards for 2018 draft. And then the 2019 draft has Zion in it. And Zion may be a very good NBA player, right? He may turn into a great player who plays for a long time. He may be Superman at times. He may, leap over tall buildings and dunk. So do me a favor and put in 2004 Exquisite. Yeah. And what you're going to see here is a really nice card of a really nice player who was the guy the year after LeBron. All right? And these are even cooler.
Nice one.
Because this is jersey numbered, right? I think he wore number 12, I'm pretty sure. So these were jersey numbered. They were limited not just to 99. These were limited to the jerseys. You have an exquisite RPA. Andrew will find it and share it with you guys for the YouTube audience. And a really nice patch. It's got the Orlando. It's got the blue and white on it. And what I want you to do is, take a look at this is next year's version because we're doing this a lot now. We have Luka and Luka's RPA, and then Zion and Ja's RPA. Quarterbacks, we have all kinds of what we're paying for Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert. This is the RPA. This is the exquisite collection from the year after LeBron, and this is an RPA, and it's a really nice patch, and it's the guy who came after LeBron, the year after, 2004, who was literally leaping over tall buildings, winning dunk competitions. He was the Superman. And that card right there sells for, 0.5% on what a LeBron exquisite RPA sells for. Thoughts?
Never liked Dwight's game. I think he's pretty overrated, in my opinion.
And we're able to look at that kind of stuff and look at it with hindsight. Right? We're able to look at it with hindsight. And speaking of hindsight, how much premium do you put on limited cards on when you have a PSA 10 versus a PSA 8? A card that's numbered, let's say a card out of 100, right? And where is Nick Fredericks? Because there is a 1998 Flair Showcase Legacy Collection Row Zero Peyton Manning rookie out of 100 in this auction. And it is a PSA 8. And it's currently sitting at $1,200, $1,500.
It's doing well.
The PSA 10 on this is also out of 100, right? But there's not many PSA 10s. The card itself is out of 100. I don't even know how many there are. 1, 2, whatever. I have no idea. We'd have to take a look. 3. Not too many 10s. But the PSA 10 sold for about $25,000. I know that because it was talked up a lot in the week leading up to it. I got whipped into a frenzy and I bought it. I own that card in PSA 10. It's in my vault. What do you think the 8 goes for?
3.
It's an interesting thing because thinking back,
you wouldn't own an 8.
That's true. And therein lies the question. How much do snobs pay for premiums for a 10?
The annoying thing with snobs is
10 to 1. 10 times, 10x.
They could win 9 times out of 10, but they'll still be salty that they overpaid for that.
This isn't salty. This is educational.
What's educational? Don't listen to people who work for the company.
No, that a card that's out of 100, it might be a better course of action to pay 10% for an 8 that's still pretty rare out of 100.
Yeah, you say that, but you're going to eat Chick-fil-A and you're going to feed Ian carrots.
I had it.
Okay, so you're
like, he's eating it right now too.
Ian, it might be really good for you to eat this PSA 8 carrot, but you're still going to eat your PSA 10 Chick-fil-A.
So we'll move to something else. There was a 2017 Panini Phoenix yellow Patrick Mahomes
why is it
rookie
Scoring
patch.
Kings Jordan?
Take a look at this. There's a nice 9.5 Scoring Kings Jordan. That's a lot of money.
I agree. Why is it Scoring Kings Jordan? That's a PSA like $600, but a PSA 10 is $13K.
Snobs. And the PSA 10 is not even that rare. I was gonna talk about a Patrick Mahomes card. I figured you wanted to talk about Mahomes, like which Mahomes to buy, which Mahomes not to buy. But you don't have to if you don't want to. You know what's the right Mahomes to buy? Any.
Right,
I mean, there's a whole bunch of Mahomes. I'm asking you. If people are looking,
I wouldn't
at Mahomes,
buy any of the Mahomes right now.
How come?
Is there only 2 Mahomes in this week's auction? No, that's in my favorites.
Because all the best Mahomes hit the market in September, October, November. That's when you saw the 1 of 1, the Prism Gold. You're getting people sloppy seconds right now a day before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want that. That's kind of terrible.
You're not getting the best Mahomes right now.
So you definitely don't want that. So a couple of other fun ones, for Andrew to take a look at. The 05 Exquisite Collection Rodgers RPA. Aaron Rodgers. It's a PSA 9. Cool,
Can we be done with Aaron Rodgers, please?
Oh, what happens if he comes to the Jets? I'm not saying it's going to happen. What happens if he comes to the Jets? What happens if he goes to a team that, has a renewed kind of, fan base? Could his cards be a play if he's moving to another team?
You remember your famous clip? In Argentina, I saw all these guys, but they weren't buying Messi cards.
Yes, that's true.
People who do ayahuasca don't buy cards.
Okay, there you go. So how about people in Oklahoma City? Are they going to...
Josh Giddey.
Giddey, yes.
There's
an RPA. That's my next card on my list. There's an out of 99 RPA, which is, pretty nice looking.
Thank you.
3 colors.
So I've wanted to talk about this OKC team. So if you haven't watched this OKC team,
they don't do ayahuasca there, so we can talk about them.
I highly recommend watching them. They are the youngest team in the NBA.
Yep.
Compete as hard as anybody. Mm-hmm. And they answer, how the NBA is a game of runs?
Yes.
They answer runs with their own runs, and usually young teams aren't able to do that. And specifically one guy that, how we said like Larry Bird, right?
Let me guess, SGA, because you put a thing in your story. I'm buying SGA, so you must be talking about SGA.
Okay, pretend you're an adult. You could think before you speak, and then you could just pause.
I did think, and I got it. Am I right?
You did not. I got an impulse.
SGA.
Remember how we said Larry Bird? We can't understand how he's so great because he's so slow. He's unathletic. No. Giddey is that same type of guy. He's slow. He's unathletic. He's kind of funny the way he dribbles. He dribbles so high up. But I'll tell you, man, if you watch a few of his games, he's so under control and poised for a rookie. He plays the game. He's sort of like their second ball handler when SGA's out. He plays the game as if it's his 6th or 7th year in the league versus his 2nd. Now, I would not buy his NTRPA. I think just the NTRPA market in general is overinflated. But I am a believer in Giddey, more so that I think that the rest of the general public hasn't had a chance to watch this Thunder team play. He's a very interesting talent. Very interesting talent.
The team's fun. You would think. I mean, they played against Portland last night, and Dame had 20 points in the first quarter, and you would think like, wow, they're going to just crumble against this. And Ann Fernie was having a good game also. But, instead, SGA put up 16 in the first quarter and, matched the intensity, and then wound up putting up 44, I think he had, against Dame's 38 in the game. I watched the entire game. I do watch the games, bro.
You did watch that game?
Wasn't
it an awesome game? Mm-hmm. Because Dame was cooking early. Like, he couldn't
And then he disappeared.
Well, it's what usually happens in the NBA is when one guy cooks and you're playing a young team, sometimes teams fold. And every run that Portland had, this is the last game of the road trip for OKC, who just played the Lakers, who played the Warriors. It was a tough road trip. They answered every run. And then to close out the game, they went on like a 15-3 run in the last 6 minutes. I love watching this team play. Who's your favorite? Are you still a Dort guy?
I mean, Dort on that team, if you got to give me somebody, it's Dort. Dort does the dirty work, man. He's a good defender. He does the stuff. What about Jamal Williams? They have two.
Yeah.
They have two. No, I mean, listen, I'm giddy about Giddy, just like you. And if you want an answer to the question of how much does the PSA 10 versus the PSA 9 sell for, the Alan Trammell and who's the Alan Trammell rookie card that's on PSA 10 that you talked about in the beginning here from 1978 Topps. There's also a 1978 Topps Alan Trammell PSA 9 in this auction.
With a designation or no?
Nope, just a 9. It's under $1,000. 20 grand for the 10, under $1,000 for the 9. It's
someone's selling their 1978 collection.
It's Paul Molitor. Oh, that was the other guy on it too. But what do you think of downtown cards, non-rookie downtowns? Do you like them?
No, like the Mahomes one?
Yeah, just like the Mahomes one. Look what I did there. I was an adult. I led you.
I think it's $780 or something.
Yeah,
it's the year he lost in Miami Super Bowl. I don't see the significance. And we can't just do everything is going to be the next Kaboom. Everything's the next PMG. More than likely, nothing's the next Kaboom, and nothing's the next PMG.
And nothing's the next LeBron.
And it's definitely not like third-year downtowns just because they're graded PSA 10.
I like it. So
the PSA 10 thing's going to work only for 1978 Topps, where there's a cap supply. There's going to be 20 to 25 Eddie Murphys in eternity. The supply on these new ultra modern cards is going to keep growing, and even in PSA 10s.
All right. I would like to point out a card that is raw in this. Raw, but authentic.
How much product do you think is still unripped? I apologize, Kate, but like from 2020.
You need to be an adult and think before you speak.
I know. Well, sometimes I want to finish
a lot of product.
But I don't have enough time to finish the statement because
there's a lot of product. There's a lot of product that's still ripped, man. I mean, there's a lot of
Would you say like 30% is unripped? 50% is unripped?
From 2020, you're saying?
Yeah.
I'd say about a third.
33? Cool. I apologize. So there's a raw
card.
A third.
There's a raw card, but this is from 2012. It is authenticated by Mike Baker, the NBA authentic. I wonder if, someone just had this raw and figured this was a quick way to get it in there. I always wonder about something like this. It's a kind of card where there's no reason why, if you're not at a show or something like that, you don't just, get it graded, get it in a slab. And maybe this is an opportunity to buy it here. Before I tell you the card, what do you think of the Clippers this year? You think they have a shot to play some meaningful games?
I think you can't win with 10 wing players. Like, you need a point guard. You still need to play the game with some semblance of structure. You can't just be like, Kawhi, Paul George, and a bunch of wing guys go out there and get me wins. I like the roster.
There's a 2012 National Treasures Kawhi RPA. Remember, these RPAs are out of 199. We've talked about this card before as one of those, like, this is the guy, and everybody's forgotten about him. But here's one that is raw NBA. Nice patch, and it's sitting at $700. It's interesting to look at stuff like this, guys. And look, two reasons. Number one,
it's an insane patch.
What if they go on a run? Is this a buy here? What if the Clippers are home court and they're playing meaningful games, and Paul George and Kawhi turn it on, and Kawhi's rested because he hasn't played in 4 years. But the other way to look at this
is an insane copy. Look at that auto. Look at this patch.
Sick autograph, sick patch. It's got a lot of things going for it. I would love to know why it's not in an actual slab. Maybe laziness. Maybe there's a problem. I don't know. Maybe it's trimmed. I have no idea. I really have no clue. But it's one of those things where we just talked about how cheap Josh Giddey was. Right? This is Kawhi. Multiple finals MVPs. You know what I mean? Multiple championships. Like a great player. Somebody who, like the last time ESPN did a top 100, he was in the top 25 players a couple of years ago before, a little bit of a downturn and load management came into,
if he plays, he plays, he's a top 5 player in the NBA with like zero hesitation. The issue,
it's $700. It's $700.
You could bet against the spread on this.
Mm-hmm.
When he doesn't play, they don't win. When he plays, they do win. He still rests. And it's like, I'm with you. I do think that they could go on a run. But think about buying a card. Forget the price. And you don't know if this guy's going to play. Not that he's injured or not. You just don't know if he's going to play consistently.
Okay. So let's go back on one more for me here.
Would you be able to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I think you're probably right about it. Like who knows if he even plays. But even if he doesn't, that's the kind of card where, there have to be Kawhi fans, and maybe playing for so many different teams takes away some of that fan base. But ultimately, he will stop playing at some point in time. So will Josh Giddey. Someone's paying twice as much for Josh Giddey's RPA as this. It's the difference between what may happen and what has happened. Josh Giddey right now would take 2 finals MVPs, 2 championships, and stop playing. And you're paying more for Giddey than you're paying for Kawhi. So it's one of those things that we kind of talk about. Another guy who is playing and plays a lot and is playing well and has, I think...
So you don't let me ask questions.
Shoot.
So I've wanted to ask you this question all episode. I added in my notes. It applies perfectly here. But you're on to topic 14.
Shoot.
Would you buy a horizontal card?
Of course.
Does that bother you?
The Peyton Manning card we just talked about is horizontal, and I own that. I was a huge fan of the Tatis 2019 rookie card. I bought, 150 of those in PSA 10 or so.
Not to hold, but yes,
horizontal.
That was more of
I love, there is a really nice horizontal card that I'd love to add to my collection here at some point in time. The Juan Soto Gatorade Splash card, the SP one, is in this auction.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a horizontal card also with the Gatorade.
So it doesn't. The reason I ask you is the Kawhi is a horizontal card. Yeti's vertical, and I do see quite often. Like I saw today, SGC posted a cool card. It was a Jalen Hurts card. And someone commented, it was like, this would be unreal if it was vertical. The market does care.
That's just somebody repeating bullshit. I'd be curious who said that and whether or not they actually own any vertical or horizontal cards, or they just comment they're a reply guy, because that's what the hobby likes to say. Would they say the same thing for Patrick Mahomes' RPA, which is also horizontal? I think it's a gorgeous card. Does all of a sudden, if they had if it was vertical, would people be paying more for it? I don't think so. I think if you have the option between a vertical and a horizontal in the same year, people pick the vertical card. Is that a fair assessment? So there was a while there, and you've led into this of like, don't try to make happen. Don't try to be the next this, right? Let's not talk about the next PMG. Let's not talk about the next Kaboom. For a while there, people were trying to make Optic the next Prism. Remember that? What do you think a Prism Gold from 2017 of Donovan Mitchell would sell for? The true gold out of 10. Right? A rookie.
10 has to be 5 to 7K.
I mean, I would probably say more, but even let's accept that. 5 to 7K, perfect. There is an Optic Gold of Donovan Mitchell in this auction. Okay? It is true 10. It's a BGS 9. If you want to pull it up, you can. It's a really nice looking card because it's got the blue and the gold stripes, right? So interesting, because the way Optic did it, it doesn't have like a full gold border like Prism would have. It's got the gold that interspersed in the blue. You would say between 5 and 7,000. This is between 5 and 700 for a true gold out of 10 Donovan Mitchell, who could be playing some meaningful games soon. Shoot.
So I thank you for asking what I think about this Cavs team. You are right. The issue with this year's Optic, I don't know if you agree with this or don't agree. I think this is the ugliest card Panini has ever made in terms of like the big releases. 2017 Optic with like that really charcoal gray back doesn't do it for me. Especially by looking at it, you wouldn't even know that's really gold. That being said, I think Donovan Mitchell is a buy. This Cavs team, early on in the season, they were still kind of like figuring themselves out. If you look at Evan Mobley's last 10 games, the guy stepped it up. And Garland and Mitchell have been playing well. I think the most marketable or the most cardboard relevant guy is probably still Donovan Mitchell. I'm a believer in this Cavs team. I think they're actually going to finish maybe second or third in the East. Really good team, and they're ascending, as we say.
Okay.
I think Mitchell's a buy. I think Mitchell's is definitely a buy.
It was just one of those things where, I look at it and I'm like, wow, it's gold. Everybody talks about gold out of 10, and this is his rookie. So it's a rookie gold out of 10, and I know that they're playing really good ball. You know what I mean? Man, it's interesting. So 28 now. It's with somebody in their prime. Who's an example of a 28-year-old sports player now?
Giannis.
Giannis. I mean, the picture of health. Can you do me a favor and pull up? I want to spell it right. For part of the 1978 set. 1978 tops Brian Downing. All right. It's also a PSA 10. Downing. And take a look at it, right? I mean, played for the Angels. He played for the Sox in this one. I'm pretty sure he's in the Angels Hall of Fame. Real good player, right? Won a division title with them in the late 70s and won, I think, 2 more in the 80s. Good player. I think he had over 2,000 hits. I mean, just a real good player. But here he is in his year 27, 28 season. Look,
Ted Bundy.
That's what it was.
You're killing people right before this game. Jesus Christ.
So, I love the baseball cards that were made because look at this dude. This dude looks like he's running the auto shop in your high school and, whittling shanks for when he's in prison. I mean, like, what do you got going on here? What they couldn't give you a better picture, but this is only one of only half dozen PSA 10s of Brian Downing. And this card is selling for more than a Jalen Hurts rookie kaboom.
I don't get the appeal.
It's a lot of fun, man. One more guy I'm going to bounce off you because if you happen to like him, there are some really nice true RPAs, vertical RPAs, flawless out of 25, true RPAs out of 99. What do you think of Tyrese Haliburton? You think he's a buy or you think he's one of those guys where assists don't matter to NBA collectors and the rest of the stuff's not going to be enough?
He is somebody who I've watched this Pacers team a lot, right? So we just talked about OKC, how they compete, and we've talked about I didn't mention the Magic, but I like how the Magic compete. I like on the surface Tyrese, but I actually don't think he's I don't think he's going to be that guy there long term. I think he's going to have incredible stats. I do like his game. I think Mathurin is going to be the guy there.
Okay.
I think Mathurin is going to be the guy there.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I've watched this Pacers team a lot. They leave a lot to be desired. They're young. They play fast. Something's missing. Something to me isn't there with Tyrese. And I know this is probably his best year. He deserves to be an all-star. His stats are incredible. Just something left to be desired. I guess that's the only way I could put it. I like Mathurin a lot.
And there you go.
How do you explain that factor, right? Like, knowing how to win versus putting up stats. Like, I said in our OG group a while ago, Cage, that SGA is more on par with Luka than he is on Trey's level to me. And you see that just knowing when to turn your game on when your team, just gave up 3 threes and you're down 9, your team needs a bucket versus early in the game getting guys involved. That like kind of IQ. How do you know what I mean? That it factor, so to speak.
I know what you're saying. I mean, you'd like to hope, especially with these guys, that they're just young, and it's a lot of them playing for the first year together, and that maybe they would, kind of gel and play together as a team. I mean, Haliburton was traded there. Mathurin, it's his rookie year, right? With the Pacers, right? So,
Jimmy Butler is one of the worst offensive players in the league by all statistics.
Okay, but
very inefficient, very poor shooter. Stay with me, bro. But when the game is on the line or it's the second quarter and the other team's pulling away, he's going to go and get you a bucket, right?
Well, I can't answer. What I was going to say is I don't know what his stats are. I know I watched games on him. I don't know his efficiency. I don't know anything. But I watched his game last night, and I think he scored 10 of their last 12 points. Went out there and got the bucket. You saw I was texting in our group chats like, I can't believe how this game just ended. 0.7 of a second, horrible defense. from a young Rockets team. They just let Jimmy flash to the basket and alley-oop a win, which is crazy. But yeah, he's going to go out there and get you a bucket.
4 of 11. 4 of 11. 0 for 1 from 3-point range.
Mm-hmm.
He's shooting 30% from 3. Just he's not an efficient.
I agree. I mean, if you tell me
Haliburton on the other end is so efficient, great shooter, great assist, but there's something about like that if factor, knowing when to turn it on and when to, kind of start dominating when versus like when to let off the gas that I'm not sure Tyrese has yet. He might develop it.
I hope I'm not blowing up your spot. It's in a CSG holder, which some people say are the cool clear glass. Some people won't ever buy anything off a CSG, but I know it's not the next day. Have you seen the Giannis that's in this auction? It's in a CSG 9 slab, which is always odd, but it is the fresh paint Giannis rookie auto. It's not the full name. I know you like it, but it's a cool, different kind of card, like almost art-wise. If you take a look at it, I know you like some of those cooler, 2013, like Next Days and that kind of stuff. This one. It was, and the green on it, the green fresh paint, sort of matches with the, the team colors that are there. Interesting stuff.
It's crazy to me. So this card, this is the Panini Court Kings. I do love Court Kings. It's fresh paint. Cage mentioned this is auto. Do you know what it's numbered out of?
499, maybe.
It's a lot for a rookie auto, isn't it?
Yep.
On card. That means they sent him 500 of these, 499 of these, because this is on card autos.
That is what it means. Is
that not a lot? Am I crazy to think that's a lot?
I mean, I think it's a lot. I think it's definitely
$499 in 2013 out of 4. You would think that'd be like an out of 49, where the base card would be like out of 499. Anyway, we're rambling. Any other cards before you want to wrap?
No, I mean, listen. We could talk about 1,000 cards. This is going to be probably the last episode people hear before the Super Bowl. You still on the Chiefs bandwagon? You still say Chiefs win by at least 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, I feel more confident now. Everyone's picking the Eagles, which is very shocking. Like it solidified my belief that the Chiefs are going to win, seeing that basically everybody is on the Eagles. I would have been a little nervous if it was the opposite.
Like fade the public kind of deal. So a cool card, guys. Just alternate. Just one last one that I'm gonna throw out there, and I hope Andrew's not bidding on this because I know he's a huge fan. It's not one that I know of previously, but you can take a look at it. There was a really cool Stanley autograph card in this auction. It's a 2013 Panini Golden Age historical signature. So it's not like the Mr. Marvel that somebody got signed. Like this was a card that's supposed to be signed. I probably came in whatever this Golden Age release was, and it is a 10 card with a 10 auto. I guess there's 5 of these out there in 10-10. A really cool looking card. Obviously, he's no longer with us. He's not signing any more autos, but his, his impact is felt. You're going to have, Ant-Man and the Wasp and like all the Marvel movies and, Marvel campus in Disney parks and all that stuff. It's a pretty cool autograph of somebody who, is going to remain clearly relevant way beyond, his time here.
So they just brought Bob Iger back to ESPN, back to Disney to sort of fix Disney. And what he did was he broke out the business units. And there's belief that he's doing that to eventually sell. Maybe sell to Apple, different parts of Disney conglomerate.
Interesting. Are you done? Do we have
ESPN's fledgling business, struggling business, losing a lot of media rights?
I would have to research it. I'm sure ESPN probably has a lot of value to it. The problem I see with it is that it's lost a lot of the. Other companies have come in and bid a lot more for some of the rights to some of the games and whatnot. So, look at how much the Amazon is paying for like Thursday night games and stuff. It's pretty crazy to see the value, being placed on sports. So there you go. Are you going to be buying any of the 1978 cards that are in this auction?
0. Not a single card.
Can I throw one more card out there? And I hope it's not something you're bidding on.
Sure.
I like, guys, you could spend days going over all the stuff in this auction. If you're a believer that Kevin Durant to the Suns makes the Suns a championship contender. Now, Andrew and I will disagree with you because we're going to talk about the depth that's required and how much the team lost by losing Mikal Bridges and you name it. But if you look at it from a fantasy perspective with their starting five, I'd put that starting five against anyone. And I am not going to be pointing you towards a Devin Booker card or a Kevin Durant card. But I am going to be pointing you towards the guy who I think gains the most in his card value if KD brings a championship there. And it's none other than this. And it's not the best card for him, and it's a crappy patch, but I can't believe the price of this right now. It is exactly that one right there. The Chris Paul 2005 SP Authentic rookie patch auto limited to 100 in a PSA 10 gem mint. There's only 2 of these in 10. Sure, you'd like to have a better patch than just that white. And yeah, it's a New Orleans uniform. But you're sitting here with a Chris Paul, first ballot Hall of Famer. If you believe that he's going to go out there and get a championship, he's going to go out there and get a ring, it's $430 for his SP Authentic. I know it's not exquisite, right? But think of all the cards we just talked about in the thousands and multi-thousand, the whole deal. If you're a believer that Suns team is going to win, this card's $430 right now. What do you think of this card?
I think you could get it regraded and get a 10 auto as well because it's a gorgeous, crystal clear auto. And this is an old patch, old slab.
Old slab. They probably just sent it in just to get the card graded without getting the auto graded 100%. Yeah. I mean, I don't.
This is $450 for Chris Paul. I mean, come on. This is a PSA 10 that's worth a PSA 10.
Cool looking card too. Something different, right? Just something different.
That's a buy and a half. That's where you make money on the entry. You don't know where this is going to end, but if
it's anywhere near that.
Yes,
it's an interesting buy. What do you think of Zach LaVine?
I think he's a joke.
Okay.
I think how other players talk about you will tell you a lot about. And I've watched a few interviews where interviewers try to compare him to like the elite, and the current player sort of scoffs at that because he's good. He obviously takes skill to put up 20, but he leaves. We're gonna forget about him.
Did you do your
Corey Maggette, Larry Hughes, same type of thing?
Did you do your typical analysis of like who's got a lot of cards and who doesn't have a lot of cards and that kind of stuff in this one? Like, are there a lot of Currys? Are there a lot of Bradys? No,
not this auction. I apologize.
I have something that I would like to recommend for you. Would you like to hit stop, or do you want me to just go ahead out there and tell the whole world this way they can bid against you on it?
Go ahead.
Let's tell them they bid against. No hit stop. Here we go. You guys bid up. This way Andrew has to win this. Do you own the Kobe Bryant 60-point final game ticket?
It never came down in price to where I want it because it still sells pretty high. Like it still sells for $400, $500, $600, $700, even in an authentic slab, not like a highly graded one.
There is an authentic slab in this. You'd want a high grade.
My dream at one point was to get an autographed one.
There is an authentic one.
How much would you pay for
it's under 400. I don't. It depends. I'm not a Kobe guy, so I'm not going to give you that ridiculous like high number. I'm probably the wrong person to ask about that.
I don't know. Like when it happened, and in the moment, it was cool versus the Jazz. Like that moment was pretty special. I got to tell you. But looking back, I don't know if that last 60-point game. I mean, maybe Mamba out. It would be replayed. That would be a cool NFT. To watch the whole game and then the Mamba out speech. Top Shot can make that.
Let me ask you something. Maybe this is a relist or it's somebody else doing the same thing. Remember when World Cup was still going on? There was a 2014 Panini Prism World Cup soccer set.
Yeah.
The set. There's another one.
Yeah, I saw it.
Is it
and
the
the
same
Ronaldo
one?
Red is a relisted as well.
The Ronaldo Red. There's a lot. I mean, did people get over their skis a little bit on the World Cup when World Cup was happening and then just didn't pay?
It's possible. It's possible. Also, I mean, PWCC is opening up their selling platform. No extended bidding, weekly auctions where they have so many items. You're going to have more malfeasance when that happens. It's just par for the course. There's always bad actors. I think if you keep it below 5%, you're good. I think ideally under 1% unpaid is where you want to be. But the reality is it depends more on the market than always the platform.
Interesting. Very interesting stuff. All right, cool. That's it. You got any other fun cards or any other interesting stories? You're all in there on Mahomes tomorrow, right? That's it.
What do you mean? I'm not flying to the Super Bowl and dancing with Jackson Mahomes. I'm not doing that. No. So it's gonna be bittersweet. I mean, all my buddies are from back home from Philly. They're rooting for the Eagles. My sister's rooting for the Eagles. I love Andy Reid. I love Patrick Mahomes. I'm interested to see how pissed off this Chiefs team comes out because if I'm Andy Reid, I'm thinking like, man, I did so much for this organization. This was a joke of an organization when I got there. Now, this is considered one of the best organizations in the league, top 5, top 10. And they fired me. Now I'm coming back there and I'm an underdog. You're about to find out who's truly an underdog.
You got the Andy Reid is going back to a redemption song here. That's what you're playing.
Is it not? Like, so think about it. I think they went to NFC Championship like 9 times. I mean, the Super Bowl versus the Patriots, it was a tough loss. T.O. came back from a broken leg to fire Andy Reid, and then you come back and you're playing against first-time quarterback, first-time coach, young team. You're not going to give it this game. You're not going to give him this game. No way.
All right.
And then Andy Reid off of a bye.
Reid's not out there on the field, though.
Yeah, I know. I think you believe coaching doesn't matter.
No, I think it does matter if there's one terrible coach and one good one. But I think, there's only so much coaching can do. I think there's a limit to it. And, when you have 2 good coaches, I think it kind of, neutralizes. Yeah, definitely. Coaching matters. Yeah.
How much was his success this year coaching? And how much was him just being a good quarterback?
I mean, I think it was a lot of scheming. But he also...
Scheming coaching? Scheming coaching?
Yeah, I think what he did, he probably would not have been able to do on any other team. Because of the weapons he had on the field.
Like if Anthony Lynn was his coach.
Yeah.
Would he be able to do what he did this year?
I mean, you love Anthony. You really love Anthony.
Do you remember? He would QB
every
sneak
week
from the 3-yard line.
Anthony Lynn, the worst. I hate him. I hate that guy.
QB sneak 4 times from like the 3-yard line. The guy's delusional.
And he was replaced, and the coach that replaced him didn't. He sucked too, which is pretty terrible. I got one more for you. Tell me what you think of this one. 2019 National Treasures Gold. Tyler Hero, RPA. No Tyler Hero?
Tyler Hero, for me, got ahead of his skis. Like I personally hate guys that have a flash in the pan of success, and then they're like the fashionistas of the NBA, and they post this cryptic-ass shit on their IG, like, "Oh, you try to see me fall. Watch me rise from the ashes." And it's just a picture of him with like flashy ass clothes. Hate that. All right. Not the guy.
Listen, we're closing in on an hour. Guys, enjoy the auction. If you win some 78 Topps cards, let us know. Andrew is following along, dying to know which 1978 Topps cards you buy. And enjoy the Super Bowl.
What I'm dying to know is who actually buys the Wilt 6. I think that's the best buy. Or the Chris Paul
rookie.
Investors,
possibly you.